Yeah, we put in work and here's the proof. What you want?
I'm making moves, punching in.
I'm on it too.
I'm in the gym.
I'm in the stew.
It's hunting season.
Where's the food?
We push each other daily, level up.
Cause that's what brothers do.
Clock in.
So we're here, man. Episode 36.
36.
Yeah, 36. We're getting up there, man. But yeah, co-host here, Austin Hamilton.
Co-host here, Marshall Hamilton.
And yeah, we got a very, very special guest. For those of you who listened to, I forget what episode it was, but we had our guy Miles Williams on, who obviously went to Elon with me. So with this guest, we're going back into the Elon family and, super excited about this one. She's a very special person. And, I've always been fond of her because she's so humble, given, her notoriety and, who she's about. But we've got Sydel Curry Lee with us. If we had our normal setup, we'd have like drops. So we do like a round of applause after and different drops, but
yeah, air horn.
Y'all got it's official.
Brian,
pew, 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 pew.
Exactly. We got that. We got that on lock.
Yeah. But we appreciate Sydel. This is big for us, and it's just good to reconnect. It's been forever. So I'm glad to be able to do this. So. Yeah, Sydel Curry Lee.
I'm sorry, I go by both. It doesn't matter.
Put some respect on Damon's last name.
Yeah, for sure.
I figured we could kind of like start with the connection. How you all know each other, and even how I have interacted with your family, which is it's kind of crazy. So I'll let either of you kind of start with how you met and kind of how that connection started.
The twins. I mean, obviously Elon.
Yeah, the twins.
Obviously that. But I think we were only in school together for a year, right?
I think it was 2.
2? I mean, it felt like longer than however it was.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just kind of shows like how like close knit like the athletic department in general at Elon was. Obviously, like athletes will connect in any kind of way, but especially like the Black community in the athletic. In the athletic department, we always just kicking it always. Sorry, whenever I talk or whatever, like it's so difficult for me to do anything in this house. It's like having children because this is what he does. Hey, he just hears my voice and he likes to go crazy. I need you to.
So is that Sydel? Is that Quavo?
That's Nobu.
Nobu, okay.
Yeah.
First of all, those are the dopest dog names like ever.
Thank you. We picked Quavo's name, but Nobu came with his name because we adopted him when he was 2. So we were like, it fits. But
got it.
Sorry about that. I think
it's all good. Makes it authentic.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, definitely the twins. I don't remember like exactly when we first met, but I do remember you were on a visit, and obviously your pops and I think your mom was with you as well, but. You guys visited the basketball office, and I remember like one of the coaches coming in was like, "Hey, like, Del Curry's here along with his daughter and wife, like come stop by." But I had class, like I was literally like late for class, so that was supposed to be the first time I was gonna meet you, and meet your pops and mom, which I'm sick about because I don't think I've ever met them like formally, but. Yeah, I'm forever sick about that because I definitely wanted to meet both of them.
I mean, they were always on campus, so I'm shocked that you never met them because they were always there for my games and stuff, which is super dope. But I guess how the schedules are hard to do everything and be everywhere, but that would make sense. Was Matheny there? Yeah, Matheny was there.
Yeah, so I had Matheny all 4 years.
Okay, so that's why it was like they were probably like. Del and my dad, or my dad and my mom were there because of Matheny and him assistant coaching Stefan.
Yep, for sure.
So that was that connection for sure.
And then you obviously played against her brother Seth at Duke.
Yeah.
And you played against her husband when he was at Drexel.
Yeah,
Oh, true,
wow,
true, true, true.
that's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, I think sophomore year was against Seth. I can't remember if he lit us up like that. He probably did. You know what? I do remember Seth, and I was surprised. Like he was kind of talking a little bit. Like he was.
Seth's like that. He's quiet like 90% of the time, but when he has
Mhm.
something to say, first of all, it's either funny or it's just
Yeah.
like smack talking on the court. Like, so we get shocked sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
is that your voice? Okay.
Yeah, I remember. I remember him. Like I can't remember. He was probably jawing at somebody, but yeah, he was talking a little bit, rightfully so, because they were kicking our butt. So that was funny. And then obviously with Damien, I've actually played against Damien on the AAU circuit, just because he's from Baltimore, DMV area.
So small.
I think he played with DC Assault,
Mhm.
from what I remember. So I played against Damien, and obviously we moved to the CAA against Drexel, and we split with them. But Damien's a freaking bucket getter, so he lit us up as well.
I was at the game in Philly.
Yeah, you were there.
He had like 28 or something. Y'all won that game.
We did.
I never saw him play when I was at Elon. Like I was supposed to go to one of the games that. Well, I mean, I really wasn't like pushed to go see like him play, I guess, because like we weren't dating at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like we were friends. Well, I was supposed to go that one year. I think my sophomore or junior year of it was my sophomore year because he left after my sophomore year. Left Drexel, and I had the flu, so I didn't go. But like that was the only chance I would have gone to see like Drexel play.
Mm-hmm.
So when I met him, I didn't know him from Adam. Like when we not met him, but when like we finally started dating on our first date. He was like, yeah, I'm out here for pre-draft. And I didn't know if he was good. I didn't know, I didn't know anything like
could have
about.
Been
Honestly, he could have been like the worst, like just hoop dreams. He could have just had hoop dreams.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I mean, you're dope. You got nice energy. Like we vibe, whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I missed a lot of opportunities to watch him in college. That's all right.
Okay. Well, you're getting plenty of opportunities now, so.
A little bit too much, especially with this like 2020, 2021 season. It's just they're playing literally every other day for sure. And maybe hella back-to-backs. It's just it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a shortened. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's a shortened time frame. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And we were talking a little bit about how I met your uncle at Ferrum. So I went to Ferrum to play basketball. And we were in the cafeteria. And my mom, she talks to everybody. Like she's just that type of person.
She's definitely talked to you before, so I think so. Because she told
your mom?
me. Yeah, like
probably, yeah. I think I remember.
Yeah, it was like during one of our practices, and shout out to my sister Maria. She's a huge fan of Steph and the family, and I think she saw you like walk by or something. And I think my mom grabbed you and was like, "Hey, you're my daughter's a big fan of your brother." And I think you were like, "Yeah, get in line. Everybody is." Obviously, you didn't say that, but
I was like, that doesn't sound like me.
Yeah. But yeah, I think my mom did meet you like that or something.
Yeah, I remember we talked.
She's really nice.
Yeah. My mom, she's real friendly. She's Southern, got that Southern energy, but. I think because of that, that's how we started a conversation with your uncle, Cleve Adam. And he was the secondary coach at the time. And they just started talking. And, honestly, like, just to keep it a buck with y'all, you've been to Ferrum, I think, or been in that area. It ain't a lot of us. There ain't a lot of people with permanent tans, you know what I'm saying? So. I think when she saw him as like a Black man and he carried himself well, obviously, she was like, you know what, you gotta take care of my son, make sure he's good. And he was like, yeah, I got you, Mrs. So yeah. And then the next year, your cousin Mercedes came the year after, and I think Alexis came the year after that. Mm-hmm. But then his sons were on campus. I think Jill taught. I think.
And Jill was I don't remember what the exact job title was, but she was involved with like student development or something like that.
She was on campus, and she
Yeah.
was really involved with the students. So that would make sense.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how, and again, like just like you, they're all very humble, laid back people. You know, they weren't like, oh my God, like I'm Steph Curry's cousin. It just kind of came up, you know, in conversation. So all that to say, you know, it's kind of crazy how we're all on the call right now.
For sure.
Given the connection. But one of the topics that this is really Austin's idea that he wanted to get into was like, what made you choose Elon? Because, you know, it's at the time they were one of Davidson's biggest rivals, at least on the basketball side, right? And your brother Steph went to Davidson. So what kind of led to your decision to choose Elon? And then what was your experience like at Elon, particularly as a minority woman, you know, at a school that is predominantly white?
Yeah, so I picked Elon. It had nothing to do with like, I never even thought about Davidson or like the connection. Obviously, like they were both in the SoCon at the time, which I thought was cool. But when I went to go visit on campus, first of all, it was close enough to Charlotte, where I'm from, to where I could go home if I wanted to. Like it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive home. But it was still far, like location is really important to me. So it was close enough where I can go home, but far enough where I could still just like have my own life and not feel like my parents were on top of me.
Right.
But I picked it because of volleyball. I was going in between at that point. It was in between UNCG and Elon for volleyball. And so I had already visited UNCG and it was cool, but like there was something missing. And then I went to visit Elon and I stepped on campus. First of all, the campus is freaking beautiful. Like
Number one
every year. It's unmatched. And I just felt like I could really make a statement, or I could make a difference on the team. I felt like I would get playing time, and like I really vibe with the coaches. There was a Black coach at the time too, so I was like really into that, because in volleyball, like there isn't a lot of minority. I think the more like as the years go on, there is a lot more diversity and a lot more Black people or Black girls playing volleyball, which is good to see, because when you're athletic and you can jump, like you can go far in volleyball. So there are any Black girls watching this right now and you got Hobbs or whatever, like definitely go try out for that team. But at all the other schools that I was visiting, there weren't really a lot of like Black girls or whatever. And so there's a Black coach, and then the twins were on the team at the time. Even though at that moment, like even at my visit and like the first half of my freshman year, like we weren't really vibing like that. But
wait, really?
No, like they
What?
didn't like me, and because of that, I didn't like them. I think it was just like the normal like you're a freshman, like don't mess with that. Like we'll let you know when you can come, and like, and that's exactly what happened. And like obviously the rest is history.
Sorry to cut you off. Were you like somewhat intimidated by them? Because
for sure,
they can come across as intimidating. Love them,
absolutely. No, love them to death, but absolutely, I feel like you have some balls if you aren't intimidated by them. So. But so yeah, like I just kind of I really like the girls coming in my freshman year as well on my team, so vibed really well with them. And so because we all did a visit close around each other, and so we had been talking, and after my official visit, or after my first visit, I just verbally committed. And it was just kind of like that feeling I got. I felt comfortable on the campus with the team, with the coaches. And because I wanted to get a scholarship for volleyball, I think that's kind of really what I looked at. The most was the team and the environment, as far as like how they coach and all that kinds of stuff. So yeah. And then my experience on campus as a Black girl, I mean, obviously it's Elon, so you came around to like frat parties and they would only let me in because I was Steph Curry's sister, and I'd be like, what? No, like I've got my Black friends. I've got like, they can only come in because of who I'm related to, and I can only come in not because of like I'm just a cool girl and like we'll have fun at your party, but because of who I'm related with. Like that was kind of like the main issues. But like I was saying before we like you guys started asking me questions, like the Black community in the athletic department was just so tight knit, which is such a blessing. I feel like we all got along. We all was on that same vibe. We just like, we're here to do our job, get our education, and then have a little fun here and there. Well, a little bit too much fun, but have our fun.
Hanging with the twins, you was gonna have a lot of fun.
yeah, and then kick it. But like, you know, especially this past year and having to think back, because when you're living it, you're just trying to make things as easy as possible. You don't want to sit there and kind of harp on all of these like microaggressions and things that are being thrown at you all the time. And even like I grew up in a predominantly white environment my whole life. The only Black people I was around was my family, but there's like a billion of us. So I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. But I went to a predominantly white, my mom's school was pretty diverse, but like middle school, white people, high school, white people, college, white people. So I was kind of used to that and used to how kind of having to code switch and like do all that stuff to make myself feel and more accepted by people. But so being at Elon, it really wasn't that big of a difference to me. But looking back, like I said, this past year, I've noticed that a lot of things that like weren't okay that were being said to me. I feel like I remember I always use this example because it was the first time I had to be like, oh my gosh, like this is some crazy stuff. I was in a class one time and we were debating about like race and stuff. And I like raised obviously Elon's not that, doesn't have, well, back then didn't have that many Black people. So I felt like I had to talk for our culture, our race. Yeah. And so I was like, well, yeah, I kind of made my opinion or whatever. And this white dude in class was like, well, you don't really count. Like, you're not really Black. And I was like,
yep, record scratch.
I don't know. I don't know what that means. Just because like my hair is curly and I have lighter skin. I don't know what that means, but I 100% am Black. My mom's Black, my dad's Black. We're all different shades of Black. Like, I don't understand. And so it just kind of made me realize I'm a psychology major, so they kind of push empathy and understanding other people's points of views, and so I'm a little bit of a pushover in that sense because I never want to guess where people have come from in their history and what they don't know and know. But you kind of have to go into certain environments and think some people haven't been around a lot of Black people. Some people didn't have that privilege to experience us and see like we're not what's all over the news. We're not, all of these negative stigmas that are placed on Black people. And so that gave me a little bit of, it's given me a lot of patience and trying to have that understanding. But now I'm realizing that I can't just be understanding. I also have to educate, and I also have to just like kindly remind people like, okay, I understand that you're not really familiar with all this, but let me tell you what's going on and how it really is. And I wish I would have done more of that when I was in college, but like I was still growing as myself. I was still trying to figure things out myself. So, I mean, in all, just like long story short, I had a good experience in Elon, thankful because of the athletic department and like the Black people that were in there. But I mean, I had really great teammates. We all had a good time. We weren't the best team in the world, but we had a good time. We fought hard and all that kinds of stuff. And I got a really good education, from there. So, I mean, go Elon.
Yeah, I mean, I share some of the same sentiments, Sydel. Like, I can remember, I think with us, because, growing up in the Northern Virginia area, you're exposed to, a lot of different cultures and ethnicities. So, going to Elon, it wasn't that much of a culture shock for me. But I can vividly remember like talking to some white people and them hearing like me talk, like they would be shocked because it's like they never heard a Black person be able to articulate themselves and not have some sort of like Southern twang or something like that and using, different terminology. So I would say that was interesting in itself. And, when you're Black, you're already kind of prejudged in a way, and throughout Elon, I definitely felt that, like going to certain parties, being an athlete, you would get into certain parties. I didn't have the Steph, sister card. But yeah, like you definitely felt sometimes like you just didn't belong. And I think hopefully it's gotten better to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting for me as well. And I definitely shared similar situations. But when you have that close-knit group, as far as, the athletic, scene and people, that was super important, super important. Predominantly the Black athletes were on the football team. So, so having a relationship with them was always refreshing. Because, there wasn't many on the basketball team, similar to like the volleyball team. But, all in all, Elon was special. I really enjoyed it. But, you would hope that it's getting to that point where, it's better as far as, diversity and inclusion. So, yeah, it was good.
For sure.
Yeah, so you said a couple things that I think is a good segue into the next topic. Talked about having patience and being exposed to a lot as far as diversity and being around different cultures. And it's when I look at your family, when I've seen your family, I see a lot of grace just in general. Like you all have had to, deal with a lot, right? And you all seem to handle it gracefully. So, can you talk about just kind of like how you were raised and how, some of the values that were instilled into your family? I noticed from following your cousins, like I don't know if you're in this family group chat. Maybe you are, but Coach Adams sends like a scripture of the day and kind of like a motivational message. And I've seen, some of your cousins post that. I know Tavius from Ferrum as well, and he posts, stuff like that from the family. But yeah, just kind of talk about like some of the values that were instilled into you, and kind of how you've had to hold on to those values, and despite some of the changes that have happened as far as your family growing into a certain level of notoriety, but even yourself.
Yeah. Well, obviously we're a very faith-based driven family. That's like our core. It'd be hard for me to leave that even if I tried, just because we as a family don't like our success doesn't make us feel like we're entitled to it, or it was just like handed to us. It definitely was worked, but it was given by God, like as like grace and something for us to do something with. We don't feel as a collective. No, I don't think there's anyone in our family that feels like we've just been given talents, platforms, anything that we have for nothing. And that's kind of what drives us to continue to do what we can do. We feel like there's a purpose in every single thing that we do. And that comes from my mom. Like my mom has really just like, not enforced, I don't want to, it sounds like really negative, but she's really put a lot of emphasis on like God and like our faith and making it our own. Like my faith isn't my mom's faith, and right. what she does, praise, all that stuff isn't the same thing that I do. It can be similar, but we grow up and we were in church every Sunday morning and night, and then every Wednesday at 6:00. So like that was back then it seemed like overkill. Like, dude, they're saying the same things. We're praying the same things. Like none of this stuff, like trials and tribulations. Like I'm 13. Like what trials and tribulations am I really going through right now? But now as an adult and like going through life and adulthood, it's like, dang, like I'm so happy that I was able to kind of witness that even when I didn't even have anything going on. It's just like, anything that we go through, like we can just give back to God, and, we don't have to carry all of that. So I think that's kind of what keeps us humble. Like we're obviously very family oriented. We party together, we pray together, we do all like pretty much everything good and bad, we do it together, which kind of keeps us very centered and down to earth, and we wouldn't change it for anything. With you, I feel like, especially when you're on a platform and you get into this, like, I don't feel like, I'm not a celebrity, but for instance, I'm talking about Stefan. Like, if you get into that celebrity status, it's very easy to like leave all of that for the club, and to leave it for more fame, and to leave it for more money, and leave everyone behind. But because of how we were raised, and because of what our parents instilled in us, we take everybody with us. So if we're going to the club, bring the family to the club, you know, like, there's always some kind of like someone to bring you back to reality and like remind you of where you came from, which is, I feel like, is so important. And I'm so blessed that our parents raised us that way. And yeah, I just feel like when you keep your priorities, my mom's preached to us priorities. And when you keep your priorities at bay or in the back of your mind, and you remember them and you don't forget them, then you won't forget yourself. You don't forget what you're doing everything for. And yeah, we feel like nothing that we do should go idle. Nothing that we do should just be, it is what it is, because that's just not true. I don't think any of us think that like, oh, that's fine. Like we have this, let's just keep it here, not do anything with it, because there's so many people whose lives we can touch and we can help. And that's really what it's about. It's just paying it forward.
Yeah, no, that's
not saying that we're perfect either.
Oh, no,
I feel like I just like hyped us all up like we do. Like we go through it just like everyone else does. Like, especially this past year, like it's just been a mess. Like there's a lot of mess going on. But it's just a reminder of like what's important. What is your purpose? What are your goals? Like, what are you going to do with the mess that is happening right now? And everybody makes mistakes. Like I said, we're not perfect. We go through it. But like I said, when there's purpose to everything you go through, there's nothing really bad happening. You know, like even the bad stuff can equal something good when you flip it and you do something good.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's huge, Sydel. Like when the first word that comes to mind when I think of your family is it's humility. And, you know, yourself and your whole family as a whole, you guys display that to the highest level. And then you touched on, and I think Marshall, you're probably going to get into this, but like your mom, you know, she was really the foundation of, and I'm not taking any credit away from your pops. But, you know, the fact that you said like your mom was probably the one that was, you know, adamant about keeping you guys in church and, you know, letting you all know that, hey, certain blessings are going to come. But you have to understand these blessings wouldn't come without God. And, you know, with the gifts and talents that you all were given, keeping God first, but understanding that, you know, those talents were given to you to serve God. And that's what you all are doing. And that's why, like, I really love to see, you know, your family and what you all are about, because I know personally, like at the forefront, it's all to serve God. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. So shout out to Mom, man. I know she's a special one.
It's cool. It's cool because like now being in that position, my mom did a lot. Like obviously I knew that as a kid, like I was around it, but being in that position as like a wife of someone who plays professional sports, like they're never here. Like Damien is home maybe 3 months out of the year total if you're adding up days. And so like I can't imagine having 3 kids. She ran her own, she was the head of school. Yeah. So she had other kids to be responsible for, employees to be responsible for. And she like kept us just alive. Not only just alive, but she like put in effort and she made us who we are today. Like it's I cannot imagine. My dad, obviously, when he was around, he's very present. We didn't feel like we never saw dad, or he wasn't like just gone all the time. Like we knew he was gone, but when he was home, he was home. So we were able to get that like full family dynamic, which was really nice. So shout out to him too, because I know that it's hard. Like I can't imagine being on the road and feel like you're missing out on so much. The fam, like you're not around the fam, you feel like you're just working all the time. And it can be exhausting. It can be very exhausting for both of them. So yeah, definitely shout out to them, because I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can relate to what a lot of things you said, and to be honest with you, Austin and I are very selective when we ask someone to jump on the pod. It's not just about, are they well known in this industry, like are they popular? A lot of it is, do our values align? And you may know this, maybe you didn't, but our dad's a pastor. So we grew up like you talk about church every Sunday, 9 to 3,
Vacation Bible school,
Sunday school,
all of it.
But our mom was really the driver. It's crazy because even though our dad was a pastor, he was out doing a lot of ministry, right? Mm-hmm. So my mom was the one. She was a stay-at-home mom. She was the one who really was on us about praying, on us about scripture, on us about
protect your future.
Protect your future.
That was her. That was it. Protect your future. Whenever we go out, we might be out there at the club wilding, or you know what I'm saying? Hey, protect your future. That's all you said. Protect your
Philippians 4:13 before we went to school. Philippians 4:13 that made us say it. And I've looked a little bit into your like parents' background, and they're both from like blue collar areas. Like your dad from Harrisonburg, your mom's from the Radford area. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, and obviously you would know better than I would, but I feel like you guys kind of have, like, as a family, still have that blue collar, like we're going to work hard, be humble mentality, but you also have a standard of excellence, right? Because I know that sometimes, like when people grow up in a blue collar environment, it's kind of like, well, the ceiling is this low, right? And you're kind of like, if we get to this point, we're good. I feel like you all have a standard of excellence that not only as a family, but as individuals. So one of the things that I wanted to ask was, how has it been kind of crafting your own lane, right? Because obviously you have your dad who played in the NBA, 2 brothers. Your mom is famous in her own right. Your sister-in-law. But you all individually
husbands in the league now.
Husbands in the league. So it would be easy to just say, you know what, I'm just going to sit back and just kind of bask in my family's fame. But you're doing your own thing, with that respect. So how has that been, kind of creating your own lane? And when did that start for you? I think is another question.
Yeah. I've always been pretty independent. I'm the youngest and the only girl, so I never really grew up with, like, I had my cousins who are around, like my girl cousins who are around the same age as me, but Stefan's 6 years older and Seth's like 2.5, 3 years older than me. I think I'm losing track. So I was always pretty much by myself most of the time. And then I was an only child in that sense, being the only one in the house for like 4 years. 3.5, 4 years. So I never looked at my family's success as my success. Like I didn't do anything. Like I'll rebound. I rebounded for them, but like I wasn't in the gym with them. Like I wasn't putting up shot. You know what I'm saying? So, and having successful people around you most of the time will just want you to be as successful as well. And I kind of always thought, like, if they can do it, why can't I? Like, why can't I go get mine? So being independent, but also like seeing all of like so many positive role models and success around you, I realized I didn't have a choice in a sense. Like it's a lot of pressure actually, because I don't have a choice. I feel like, especially with a world that's just so just watching you all the time and everyone has their opinions about you, you kind of feel like I don't have a choice. I got to go get it. But it's like, I'd say it's like 60-40. I want to be successful because I know who I am and I know what I have to give and who I can help along the way. And then the other percentage is like, okay, I don't really have a choice. Like I can't be that one sibling who just does nothing. Like, and I'm the only girl, like I can't do that. So, but it did, I never resented my family. Like I never had a sense of like, oh, I just wish I was in like a no-name family. But I did kind of for a few years, I would say like towards the end of my time at Elon and then maybe 2 years out of college, I was very heavy on the, oh, you're Steph Curry's sister. No, I'm Sydel Curry. Like I was very heavy on that. And because I work in the social media world, I tried not to show my family that much. People would be like, where's Stefan? Where's Seth? This isn't about, like, I was kind of a little bit on the nastier side to people when they would ask me about like my brothers or Aisha or my parents. Cause like, I was resenting other people for putting that on me for multiple reasons, because it added more pressure, added more stuff to my plate. Like people know who I am. Oh, I really got to go. But it's also like I'm my own person. Like I don't play basketball. Like I'm not going to be playing professional sports, period. Like I wanted to play professional volleyball, but my fifth concussion kind of just like cut that in the bud. But I don't know. For a while, I was just kind of like really resentful towards people for putting that on me. And so that added like an extra just like push for me to take myself outside of like the sports world. But I've always had a passion for mental health. Like I knew I wanted to be a psychologist in 9th grade. And so when I got the opportunity to work on social media and make money through there, I wanted to also include something that was different than like the normal like influencer. I call myself a content creator because I hate the influencer word. But there's so many of us content creators out there, like hella content creators.
Yeah.
But what was going to make me feel more relatable? What was going to help other people so that we can connect? And at that time, I was like really going through it with like my mental health. Sorry, I might be getting ahead, but just all that
you're
to
fine.
say,
We're gonna go with the flow.
Yeah.
But just all that to say, like really putting myself out there and being vulnerable about my mental health kind of really let people know that like, okay, she isn't just Steph Curry's sister. She isn't just like an NBA sister. At that point, she's bringing something else to the table. And I started really connecting with people that way, and people started helping me through my journey of mental health, and along, I guess, helping them however way that I can. So after I pushed past the resentment of other people and putting stuff on me, and after I really felt like I created my own space, I felt more comfortable with who I am as a Curry family member. And I want to make sure that I always wanted to make sure that people didn't put this like rich girl title on me, because we weren't raised like that. Like going back to it, we just weren't raised like that. Like we knew that we were okay. Like we knew that we would never like thank God we knew that we'd never go hungry, or we knew that there would be a meal whenever we wanted to eat, lights over our head, a comfortable place to live. But we also knew that we weren't entitled to that. We also knew that like that just wasn't something that we could take for granted. Not that my parents would ever do that, but I never thought of myself as that rich girl ever. Like ever. And my parents' money was never my money. People always think like, I don't know, I'll say like, oh my gosh, gas prices are so crazy right now. And people will be like, but you just call your brother, like tell him to send you money. Like I never said that I was broke. Like I never said that I couldn't afford it. But like I also make my own money. It's very important to me to be financially independent, because what do I look like 30 years old talking about, hey bro, can you drop my direct deposit? Like what? No, like that doesn't make any sense. And I mean, if that makes someone else comfortable, do you. Like if you're in that position and you feel like, you know, you got family that can support you in that way and you feel comfortable doing that, be my guest. Like I sometimes wish I felt comfortable doing that because how much less stress would I be? But like, no, that's just not how it is over here. So, I mean, that's kind of how important it was for me to kind of separate myself a little bit because even though I want to be my own person, so much of who I am is from my family. Like so much my values, how I act, everything is connected to my family. So it was kind of hard finding that happy medium, but I found it and I'm very confident in where I'm at. I'm very comfortable in where I'm at and who I am as Sydel Curry and Sydel Curry. Like there's three different people here.
No, that's beautiful, Sydel. And I can double down on what you're saying about like you know, people may think, oh, you're the rich girl. Like again, from meeting you and you know, getting to know you a little bit at Elon, like that was never the case. Like people would always ask me and be like, hey, like I see Sydel goes to Elon, like what's she like? And I'm like, Sydel, like it's just Sydel.
I left my Bentley at home.
Yeah,
Right.
like no, like she's a normal person. You know, she's very humble. Like that whole like rich girl. You know, I'm Steph's brother. Like I would have never known if I didn't know you. But I mean, that just goes to show how you were raised and the type of person you are. Because here's another thing. Yeah, you know, your family had all that stuff and you still could have been like that. But I think that just goes to show how you are as a person. And it's refreshing to see. And then also like on the mental health standpoint, I know my sister, who I mentioned, is a big supporter of your family. And she's had her own battles through that.
Yep.
And I've heard her say, like, I've seen some of Sydel's posts and like she's legit like benefited from that. So like, yeah, it's beautiful to see because I know, yeah, you've had your struggles of trying to become your own person, and I'm glad that you're becoming that. And again, it all goes back to you serving God, and with your title as a content creator, you're also a, a godly creator as well, in a way. And I think that's so important.
Yeah. I mean, I can echo everything he said. Yeah, it's my little sister. I think she can really relate to you because she's the youngest of five, and she's the only girl. And growing up, she was always asked, "When are you going to play? When are you going to play?" To the point where, and here's the thing, she actually could play, but she never really. I don't think she wanted to because she didn't want that pressure. Now she stayed involved with the game. She still loves the game, but she carved her own lane with academics, because if she got a B, she was like crying. If we got a B, we were
let's go.
Yeah, we're eligible. So I think that's another reason why, like you said, she can relate to you and your family because, yeah, I mean and it's funny you said she was home. You were home alone for like 4 years. I mean, she was home alone. I think around the same amount of time, right?
Yeah,
you graduated.
Yeah, 11 high school.
11, and she graduated high school in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tough for her. It was tough for her because she was used to being around us all the time. But yeah, I mean, in that same light, you talked a lot about the mental health side of what you do. And right now, and I'm just going to make sure I get it right. You have is it a podcast? It's called Black Mental Health Pioneers. Is it a podcast or is it like a mini series?
It's a mini series on Instagram that I was doing. Thanks for the reminder. I had a lot happen in the last couple of weeks and like I had too much on my plate, but yeah. So it's just like I wanted to spotlight some pioneers of the Black mental health community, because obviously we know that in the Black culture, you have mental health problems, pray about it. That's it. Just pray about it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about, I just wanted to highlight some people who really contributed so much, not just to Black mental health, but to mental health on every platform right now. So I need to pick that back up. So thank you.
This is what I'm here for. It's not.
Hey guys, thanks for clocking in with us and making it this far into the episode. We want to continue these episodes for as long as possible, but we might need your help. If you click on the description on each episode, you'll find a link that reads support this podcast. If you enjoy keeping up with us, click on that link and you can make a monthly donation. All right, you guys hear enough of me talking anyways, so let's get back into the episode.
But I was just curious, what led to it, and just in general, I guess, what are some common mental health misconceptions that you kind of want to lay to rest? Because I feel like until like 2 years ago, maybe it became like a mainstream topic, and not just in the Black community, but even like among men, it's seen as weak to talk about, having mental health challenges. That's emotional. That's not, we don't even talk about that, right? So I guess what are some tips or some things that you can kind of talk to people about just to kind of get rid of this whole mental health misconception and what it's really about?
Yeah. You mentioned mental health, especially in the Black community, as just being emotional. It's not just like the side effects come from or not the symptoms, and like you kind of show it from an emotional standpoint, but like there's a lot of things chemically that can be going wrong as well. And so a lot of people think that something has to go wrong. I had to lose my job. I had to have lost someone that I really love. I have to be going through relationship issues to create mental health issues, but it can come from anything, or it could be nothing. Like there could be nothing wrong happening to have mental health I call them journeys, to have a mental health journey. I think that in mental health, sorry, I saw Nobu does this little crouching thing when he's about to attack, and I thought he's gonna bark. Hey, can we not? Thank you. Another thing I think in mental health is why I feel it's so freaking important just to like share, just to talk to somebody about it, because I'm telling you, you have six or five siblings, six siblings. There's 6 kids in your
five
total.
Five. There's 5.
Yeah, 4 boys, 1 girl.
2 of y'all at least are gonna have some sort of mental health journey you're going through, big or small. 2 of you are going to happen. So think about in a family, like in 5 siblings, take that and compare that to the billions of people on earth. There's so many people that are going through something and that nobody knows it, and you can't help each other, or you can't help yourself just by keeping it to yourself. And I know that like some people, there's like a lot of criticism when it comes to mental health, and it's hard because it's all up here. Like if you break a toe, someone's going to say your toe is pointing this way and the rest of your toes are pointing that way. Like, okay, yeah, there's literally something wrong with you. But a lot of people are really good at hiding their mental health as well. So it's not really, you can't spot it. You can't figure out like, oh, okay, Bryce, like something's really going on with him. Like we should probably go talk to him. So that's why it's just so important to like share what you're going through and to not feel like you have to keep it to yourself, even if it's just one person. And I used to say like go to a therapist, but I stopped saying that, especially recently, because therapy is just not accessible to everybody the way it should be. And so I want to be mindful of people who can't afford or have access to a therapist, which is like one thing that just needs to change immediately. But we can be each other's support systems. We can't be therapists in a sense, but like if I'm talking to Aham and I'm like, hey, I don't know, I've been feeling like I don't have any motivation. I've been feeling kind of lazy. which is one of the most common like symptoms to like depression or anxiety. You feel lazy, and it's not lazy. You're just anxious. Like you physically, you don't want to do so. Like there's a difference between being lazy and being anxious because it's crippling you. Like you can't do something because of what's going on up here. But if I'm like, hey, I can't get out of bed, you know, I feel nauseous whenever I think about, like, there's so many symptoms. He could be like, yo, Sydel, me too. Like, there's nothing going on. But this is what I do. Like, I go and I call one of my boys and like, I talk to them and, you know, tell them what's going on. And, you know, he's like, it's okay, dude. Like, I feel you. Like, just get up and go take a shower or whatever. And then that can get you going. Like, there's such small things that we can do for each other to help each other through, because one of us has gone through it probably already. And just because, sorry, I need to slow down. Every time I talk about mental health, I'm like,
I love it. Keep going.
No, this is what we need.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to hear it. We all need to hear it.
Yeah.
But just because like you're going through a mental health journey or a struggle, or a low time, but it's not as low as someone else's, doesn't mean that it's not important. Like my saying is my mountains are my mountains, and I'm the only one that can go over them. I can't compare my mountain to someone else's mountain because I'm never going to go over. I'm just going to stay at the bottom of it because, oh, but look at Bob. Bob has to go up this big mountain. Mine's not that special, but you can't reach and be who you want to be the best version of yourself if you're just comparing yourself to everybody along the way. You can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're sitting here just like going along, not facing some of the hard stuff because you're afraid that someone's going to judge you, you feel like it's not important enough, like what are you going to do? What can you give to yourself that's positive, but also to other people that are around you? I think being conscious of that is super important. In the Black community, like, yeah, pray about it, but like the stigma of Black mental health is not going to change, especially with men. If we aren't an open vessel for our brothers in our life, like we can't be like, bruh, like just go smoke a joint, you'll be fine. Like what? Like that's the stuff that I've heard like all the time. Like, oh, I'm gonna just go smoke, I'm good. Okay, no. Like yes, there are some research around like different types of self-medication, but like it's still gonna be there when you wake up the next day. Like it's still gonna be something that you're gonna have to deal with. So like Black people need to be more open. We make a joke out of everything, which I love. I love it. Like I cope with a lot of my mental health struggles by laughing and making jokes about them. But on the other hand, I'm also trying to get through them. So it's got to be a two-way. It's got to be a double thing. We can laugh about it, joke about it, but how are we going to fix it? How are we going to better ourselves to get through it? And so I think for me, like talking to my parents, like being open about my mental health struggles has opened up a whole new, because my parents, they're born in the 60s. So nobody talked about mental health struggles. And you kind of just, it is what it is. But being open about it has opened up a whole new world for us. And like me and my mom we used to get into it a lot when I was younger, just because I didn't know. I feel like I've always had underlying mental health struggles, but I didn't know how to explain that to her, and she didn't know anything about it. So I would start crying immediately upon like her, not like giving me constructive criticism, but it wasn't because like, she just thought I was just crying, like stop crying. But it was because I was so anxious, like nervous, that I just expressed that through crying. And then she'd be like, stop crying. And I'd make me cry even more. But now, like, even as an adult, which I still deal with that on a smaller level, she understands that I'm not crying for no reason. It's just like, it's a lot of emotions, a lot of anxieties, and we're able to communicate better. So especially when it comes to like that parent-child relationships, parents need to be open to a new way of communicating with their child, because especially in like the social media world, it just brings on all new different feelings and all new different pressures and all new different, like, just a lot of anxieties. Anxiety is such a like common word these days, but it's true. There's so much like sensories and all these things coming at these kids right now. And so when we're able to just openly communicate, again, it doesn't have to be like anything like, I mean, obviously it should be, but not all cases are, I don't know if I should, not all cases are suicidal. They're not, but we can stop them from getting there if we're open and communicating with each other so that we know where we are and people feel comfortable talking to each other about it. So I think in short form, it's the communication, the normalize, like, let's normalize not being okay, like, but working to be okay. It is okay to not be okay, but we can't just stay in this stagnant position. And I think a lot of people sometimes can use that not as an excuse, but they don't know where to go. Like they're like, okay, I'm not okay, and I'm not doing well. And then that's when we start shutting people out, and we just don't go looking for help anywhere. We just, okay, I'm not good. The good is around the corner. It's not going to be easy. It doesn't mean that you're not going to go back to where that not good spot, but like we can't just sit here in this depression and these anxieties. We have to work. Like it'll be the hardest work, but the best work you'll ever do if you're feeling these anxieties, you're feeling these emotions that you maybe can't explain. We got to work through them. So I don't know. At the end of the day, it really just comes down to like, how important are you to yourself? Like, if you don't feel as important, where can we find that importance? What can we do to give ourselves purpose? That's exactly why I feel like I struggle a lot, like on a daily basis. But what really helps me is like, I have a purpose. Like and sometimes I'll lose it. I'll forget that I have a purpose, and I'll have to go find it again. I'll have to work to find it again. And it always leads me back to my purpose is, like, I'm meant to be on this earth. Like I'm meant to contribute something to this earth. I just have to go find it. I hope that makes sense.
It made it. Well, there's so much to dive into.
Yeah, that was. I'm literally just sitting there like this is amazing.
You wanna do our podcast now and just talk?
Yeah, like seriously.
We're gonna change the name, and you can just run it from now on. Talk about it.
What the one thing that really stuck with me is the communication between a parent and a child. And Sydel, I'm sure you've seen that. I have a 1-year-old now.
Oh, I know. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And like, especially, so he's a boy, and I'm guilty of it. Like when he may fall down or something, I'm like, man, get up, like you're fine. You know what I'm saying? Which to a certain extent, yeah, you're
totally
fine.
Yeah, I've got one of my tats here is bow your neck, which is basically like my dad's like redneck, like country version of saying like man up.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with saying man up, like, but man up to like face it, like man up and have that, try to find, not everyone has it, but find the strength to face the struggles. And if it's not going to come easy to you, let's take it from that one step. Let's take it from the bottom and work our way up so that you can man up.
Yeah.
Just all that to say, there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah. Nah, for sure. But I think, as he gets older and like, trying to understand how to communicate to him in a way that's tailored to him. You know what I mean? And again, like for a Black kid growing up, like he's gonna go through some stuff like we all have. But for me, like I have to have the empathy and understanding, to where, yeah, maybe he's crying for help. He's actually going through something. So yeah, that really hit home for me because, as I work through my own mental health, having to understand and adhere to his mental health as well is going to be huge. So, yeah, I'm so glad you touched on that.
I think like the word you use, empathy, is just so important. Like the world just needs more empathy for people. We can still educate, and we can still learn, and we can still do whatever we have to do if we just add a little sprinkle of empathy in everything that we do. And then people will feel more comfortable, more like, I feel like people who have a lot of mental health journeys or struggles, whatever, a safe space is so important. Like a safe space to know that no matter what I'm going through, I can go to this space, person, whatever, and I know that who I am will be accepted. But yeah, it will just be accepted. And if it's something bad, then they'll help. It'll help me work through it. They'll help me get to where I want to be. But there's no judgment. Like it's a judgment-free zone. It's just education and sympathy, empathy, and understanding. Yeah, and that's been most helpful to me too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, there's so much to piggyback off of. And I was convicted, you know, because he'll tell you I was a middle child, so I think like was used to just having to be tough, you know. So I can be blunt and I can be just kind of like, just like deal with it, man. You're good. But I do know that
I was a crybaby too.
So. Yeah, he was a baby. So I had to deal with him and stop crying. He was like 6, you know. He grew out of it, but that was really, really important for me to hear because, you know, it's kind of tough sometimes balancing the spiritual side of, you know, God's going to take care of it, but also I need to be tough as a Black man and as a man in general side. So now that was awesome for me, and I know people will get a lot of value out of it. It's just a few more things before we close out. I do want to be conscious of time. I wanted you to just kind of talk about some of the influential women in your life because it is Women's History Month. And then lastly, just like what's next for you? You know, you have a platform that you're using for good, but I know that there's more for you to accomplish, whether it's, you know, furthering the things you're doing already or new stuff. So that's it. Just the last 2 things is women you want to shout out who've been influential in your life. And then this is what's next for you.
So yeah, I guess number one, my mom, she is like superwoman. She embodies everything I feel like a woman should be, but not because she's perfect, but because of her mistakes and that she shared them with me. And I think that sharing even like bad things is so important because, or not sharing, sharing mistakes and sharing sometimes that haven't been like her proudest, which she started sharing with me at like 13. And I think that that's helped me develop as an adult because like it's okay to like make mistakes. Like you're still going to be a good person. You can still be successful. You can still do all this stuff, even through the mistakes. So I definitely appreciate that about my mom, and she's number one. This is so cliche, but Aisha, she's kind of the epitome of creating an empire despite who you're married to or related to. She has worked her butt off. Like she legit has an empire, which is like insane, and has her kids and is staying true to who she is. You know, she hasn't changed what her purpose is at all. And that's kind of what I say when I say don't forget who you are and don't forget your purpose, because she's been living in that from the moment I met her. I would say my group of friends that include my cousins like Lexus and Mercedes. I don't take for granted the so many different types of women that I'm surrounded by. I think in my Women's Day post, I just said I've just been so blessed to be surrounded and uplifted by women, especially in the season of life that I'm going through right now. And I just read this book called The Power of Prayer The Power of Praying Women, I think is what it's called, by T.D. Jakes, I believe. And it was just a whole book about how powerful women who pray is. And I can confidently say that I am surrounded by women who pray for me, and we pray for each other. And like, that's just as powerful as it can get, and feeling that support, because I have a lot of women around me who are not afraid to share what they go through. They're not afraid to be like, yeah, you know what, like this is what's going on in my life that's not really working for me, or I'm really struggling with. I have my cousins, Lexus, Mercedes, Kinsey, Chelsea, and Wesley. The other day, my cousin Wesley texted, like, what can I pray for you guys for? Like, what's something that's going on in your life that, you know, we all can pray for each other about? And we just started like going in like this, I'm going through this, and this. And even in those, when someone would share what they're going through, what we could pray about, we kind of even replied with a prayer, like saying a prayer to them, even though we're praying by ourselves, but we're going to let you know this is what we're praying for. This is how we're going to pray for you through that, which is so powerful in itself. And that's why I say like it's so important to have a safe space, because the fact that I can like share my like really hard stuff with them and know that it's safe and it's in God's hands, not just through me, but through my cousins. And then I don't know. I feel like every woman that I have a pretty small circle. And every woman that is in that circle, the twins, just bring a spark of life that, you know, that you need, because it can get, it can get dark and it can get sad. But when you have like those friends who just like make you laugh and like they're like, oh yeah, let's go do that, like let's just go have fun, like you need that. You need to laugh. You need to have a group of friends who just are more like not on the surface level, like I love them deeply, like they bring a lot to the table, but they keep things like fun and happy and whatever. So yeah, I guess I'm trying to feel like I could literally shout out every single woman that's in my life. Oh, my other sister-in-law, Callie, I feel like if they're gonna listen to this, I don't want them to feel like I'm leaving them out. But Callie has literally been my rock, because she's like to the point. She's very factual. She's very like, I'm gonna give it to you straight. And so everybody needs somebody like that. That's just gonna be like this. These are the facts. This is the reality. Like, let's talk it out. And especially when you're going through mental health things, you kind of get lost in your head and you lose sight of what's actually real and the reality. And like, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? Oh, this could happen. And she brings me back to like, but what is actually happening? Like, you can prepare yourself for bad things to happen, but don't prepare yourself too much, where you're losing the present and the good things that are happening right now. So she's really good at that. But I could literally go on and on about these women, but yeah, I'm just super, super blessed to know and to have such uplifting women in my life who I can take something from each and every one of them to make who I am.
Well, that's special. You definitely got to send this segment to them. If they don't listen to anything else, send that to them, because they deserve their flowers.
Right.
So you know that's huge.
I mean, it just sounds like you have a lot of people who just energize you, but also ground you. Mm-hmm. You know, there are people who are drainers, and there are people who are just kind of, like you said, kind of like the catalyst, that spark that you can always rely on. And I think for the people who are listening, like, you need to have a support system that's diverse, but you don't want to have drainers in your life. You know, you want people, and if there are people who are drainers, then you be the person who energizes. So it sounds like you have a really good support system, and it's not by surprise that, you know, you're able to do the things in your own lane, because you do have that support system. So lastly, just, you know, like, what's next? Like, what are you working on this year? Like, what are some of your goals, things that you're looking to accomplish or further that you're already doing?
Yeah. So I don't know if I can.
If you can't say it, it's fine.
No. I
don't get yourself in trouble.
I think I can, but I just can't say who it's with or what it's about. But I'm in the process production of a podcast right now, so I'm really excited about that. We've been planning this since last July or August. July or August is when we I came up with the idea. We've just been in production for it, and it's going to be really exciting. Like I'm so excited. It's going to touch so many people, and it's going to add just an extra layer to what I already talk about.
Okay.
With the people that are involved. So yeah, look out for that. And what else am I doing? I want to, in a sense, create. I mean, I have my own brand, but like product development is something that's really important to me. Obviously with meaning behind it, like a lifestyle brand. But I don't know. I'm really focusing on this podcast because it's engulfing everything that just is me. So yeah, that's the earliest thing that people can look out for in the next couple of months. So yeah,
I can't wait for the podcast. I'm definitely going to be an avid listener to that.
No doubt.
I'm sure a lot of people will too. So very exciting. I did have one question, and this is it for me. The Red Table Talk. Can you touch, like, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah. You know what really sucks? Like, it shows how people can really ruin things, because Red Table Talk was one of the best, like, things that we've done in that moment. We laid a lot of things, especially like my mom and Aisha, like laid a lot of things out there. And it just kind of shows, we were so excited about it. Like it was just a real good, free flowing conversation. And the people who actually watched the episode and just didn't watch the clips that were taken out of it, like they saw that, like they saw that they heard and watched and learned and gained a lot of validation about however they're feeling. They had a peek inside like our family, like the women in our family. But you know what? It's not that enjoyable to think about anymore, because people took something that a lot of women think. I think that sounds like, who doesn't like a little bit of attention, especially if you're in a very loving and happy relationship. You've been in that relationship for 10 years, I think at that point they were, or 7 years, I don't know, long enough. And just being like, as a woman, sometimes you just want like, hey, like, what's up, shawty? You look good. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm married. I'm sorry.
Right.
You know, like,
you just want the chance to shut someone down. You know what I mean?
Right. Like,
it's human
and because like Aisha's Stefan's for her first boyfriend. Like, she never dated. Like, he's like the only serious person that she's been with. And so like, it's normal. Like, that's probably the one of the most, when she said that during Red Table Talk, none of our antennas went up. None of us were like, probably shouldn't have said that. I think there was something else that my mom might have said that we were like, oh, people were gonna like take that and run with it, but like it didn't matter. So it really breaks my heart for her, because she was being very vulnerable and just saying what a lot of women think, especially married women. And so it's a bit of a sore subject. Like, it's really sad that, you know, that really monumental moment for us was just kind of ruined because of how people just are ruthless and just don't empathize and just are, what do they call it? Twitter fingers,
the screen,
digital demons, whatever you want to call it. Like, but in a sense, like, we'll always have that moment. We have a little photo that I have in my office somewhere, like, of us at the table with them. So, I mean, thinking back to when we think about like filming day and all that stuff, we have happy thoughts, but like, it's just something that we don't talk about anymore, just because of how much negativity is around it.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience.
Yeah. No, and I watched the whole thing.
Thank you.
It was frustrating to see that, you know, that one small clip, which again, like, wasn't even that big of a deal, in my opinion, you know, was grabbed and magnified. Because there were so many good nuggets from that people could take from.
Like, why are we talking about the fact that Callie's house got burned down because her parents were in a interracial couple? Like, that's crazy. Why are we talking about the fact that my mom came face to face with the KKK when she was young. Like that's wild. Like why are we talking about the fact? I think I'm quoting someone who tweeted like, why are we not talking about the fact that I have had 5 concussions and mental health, like football player. There's a lot
Real
of people out
issues.
there who
Yeah.
had been hit in the head a billion times, who are having mental health issues, but didn't realize that their concussions had related to that. Like so many different things that are real and that could help people were said during that, and nobody wants to watch the whole segment.
Well, the good news is now you're going to have a platform where people can be vulnerable,
debunk all that,
and not put it and spin it in a way where it can hurt people. I think that's the beauty of what you're doing, and what you're going to do is, you know, you've created a space, and you're going to create a space where people can have those conversations and benefit from it, instead of, you know, do what was done to you guys. But I again, this kind of goes back to how you all were raised. You know, I didn't hear.
Unbothered, right? Sydel?
Yeah. I didn't
really.
I didn't hear much. I mean, obviously you got to defend yourself, but you know, you could have got nasty, and you all could have done what a lot of people would do, but that's just not who you are. And I think it's just more of a testament of the type of people you guys are.
Yeah, that's kind of how we don't really respond to a lot of hate because it just brings more attention to the fact, and it gives people what they want.
Yeah.
And every now and like I used to be when I was in high school, I used to be like I would go in on people. Hopefully nobody looks back at my tweets. I don't think I've said anything that will get me canceled, but like I definitely wasn't as like, now I'm just like my mom says kill people with kindness. So, you know, if someone said something hateful to me, I'll be like, did that make you feel good about yourself? Like, did that help you, you know, get through whatever you're going through? Like coming at me and talking to me on some crazy stuff. And people will be like, oh, don't take it so personally. I'm like, no, like I didn't come, like I flip it on them. Like, what would you do if I entered your girl's DMs talking about you and something that you didn't do right? Or I'm like, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. I don't care. I don't know you. Like, that's weird, but
there's far more important issues like we just talked about than to care about like a tweet. Like we get on social media all the time, and like just how much of fluff and noise it is, and just how society is just kind of ruined by it. But we'll save it. We won't get into
that. Could be a whole other hour.
That could be a whole nother podcast. Austin, did you have anything else you wanted to touch on?
Nah, I think that's it. You know, this is personally one of my favorite episodes out of the 36, just because of, you know, the topics that we touched on, and I took so many mental notes. But yeah, just wanted to say, you know, we appreciate you, Sydel, and this was huge for us, and you know, this will be impactful for a lot of people. So we appreciate you clocking in with us.
Yeah, hopefully you had a good experience with us, and when this whole pandemic ends, you know, I'd love to meet, you know, at some point meet you. And I feel like I, in a way,
have you met the twins, Marshall?
Yeah, I met the twins.
Okay, yeah,
but would love to meet you guys officially.
Absolutely. We were planning this last summer. We wanted to have summer 2020. We wanted to have that that Elon reunion / Polo Station reunion, and obviously Marshall, you were anyone's invited. So whenever we actually do that, like bring who you want. We'll have a reunion.
I'm in there.
We'll do it right.
I'm in there.
I remember the twins. I love them, man.
Love them.
They're talking about planning like their 30th, like last year, their 30th birthday party. I'm just like, yo, like.
All I can say is hydrate. Just go ahead and start. I was
literally going to say that. I started the hydrating process.
I'm getting ready now. I already got my water right now.
Oh my God, I got a headache thinking about it.
Yeah, I turned 30 in July. I don't know what I'm doing. So
whatever you want at that point. 30 is like the new 60 though. So
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. But
That
we'll,
is.
we'll let you go, Sydel. Once again, we appreciate it.
No problem.
And you know, best of luck with everything you're doing. You know, best of luck with you know, your new venture that's coming out. This, I think you said probably next couple months or something like that. And we're definitely going to be tapped into that. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, Sydel.
All right.
Guys, have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye now.
Yeah. We put in work and here's the proof. What you want?
I'm making moves, punching in.
I'm on it too.
I'm in the gym.
I'm in the stew.
It's hunting season.
Where's the food?
We push each other daily, level up.
Cause that's what brothers do.
Clock in.